Hey, what's up everybody? It's me, JBFlintlock. Today we're going to talk bench shooting, but instead of heavy guns, unlimited class guns, we're going to talk about light bench shooting. So 14 pounds and under. We're going to kind of do it the same as the last video where I'm going to showcase the gun first, and then I'll step back and go through the sequence, which is pretty similar. If you didn't see my video on heavy bench shooting, I want to encourage you to go back and take a look at those. Just so you can get an idea of what that's all about. When it comes to light bench shooting, this is how I got started. So I got a light gun first and then kind of graduated into the heavy guns. I didn't just start out in heavy bench rest class. Light bench rest class is a little less forgiving. So you have to be very conscious of the little things, your cheek pressure, your shoulder pressure, all those sorts of things. Whereas when you're leaning on a heavy gun, that's 40 or 50 pound gun, you can get away with a little bit a little bit more. So we're going to talk about that as we go through the process. But I want to take this time also to encourage you, if you have not subscribed to my channel, to please go ahead and do so, and give the video a like, and by all means keep the comments coming. I really enjoy interacting with all of you, and I love to hear from you guys. So anyhow, without further ado, let's take a look at the gun. Okay, so having a look at the rifle here, this is a pretty straight stock gun. So you can see it doesn't have much drop to the stock. It's pretty straight setup. Side hammer ignition. It's a little bit dirty. I was shooting it recently and didn't get it as clean as I thought. It's an 1 1/8" barrel, 50 caliber, outfitted currently with peep sights. It does have provisions for open sights. Has a false muzzle. Now this is not a locking false muzzle. This is just a pin-on type false muzzle. So just 4 index pins and a dummy for blocking the sights. So you can see how nice and crisp the rifling is, or the crown, I should say. So we're just going to put that back in. Has a cant block that is bolted onto it. It's not permanently affixed, so it can be removed, although I never have in the time that I have owned the gun. Double set triggers, and that's basically it. It has a nice rollover cheek piece. Nothing fancy, but it is a shooter. So okay folks, so I have the gun up in position in the loading and cleaning position of the bench. I have the false muzzle tied off to the bench the way that you're supposed to. So this is going to be real similar to heavy bench. The procedure of loading and cleaning, the attention to detail, everything like that, I want to be the same. So same thing, the direction of my patch material, I'm going to do the same manner every time. The balls are weighed out and batched. The powder is pre-weighed. Now I'm going to be shooting 85 grains of 1.5 Swiss. I like the 1.5 Swiss as compared to the 2F because I was having some issues with tearing patches. So it just seemed to alleviate that problem, gave me no real change, no significant change in velocity or point of impact, things like that. So I shoot that both for 50 and 100 yards. So first thing I want to do is snap a couple caps, make sure the breech area is clean, run a clean patch down through the bore, make sure everything is clean and open and oil free, or less oil in it for the first shot. So I'm going to go to the drop tube, and this is a brass drop tube that I put some heat shrink tubing on to protect, so there's not as much metal to metal contact. Drop that in. I use my test tubes. Now I have mine, they're a much smaller test tube, but they're also I have different color caps, so I can't mix them up with my heavy bench gun. I would pour that in there, give it a little tap to make sure that the powder gets out of the drop tube, and then I would get a ball and patch. And again, I like to leave the patch draped towards me. That way I remember to do it the same every time. Set a ball on, grab my short starter. Now I'm going to show you this short starter. This is one that I made. It's an adjustable short starter. Let me walk a little closer so hopefully you can see it. So I'll put it down here. So the way that it works is it's just a radiused end to accommodate the ball, but it has 2 jam nuts on it, and it's threaded on the shoulder. The reason I do that is so that I can adjust by adjusting the jam nuts and tightening them back down. I can adjust the depth that I seat the ball when I short start it. So what I like to do is have it perfectly flush so that I just miss the ball when I cut it with my knife. So I don't want too much excess patch material wrapping over the top, and I don't want to be cutting into the ball with my knife. So I play around with it and get it, and then once I have it set, it's set there and I don't mess with it. But anyhow, short starter, tap with the mallet, load the ball. Now I have it, you know, I trim it off, and now it's flush with the muzzle at the specific depth that I want. And then again, from the muzzle, no short start, and I'm going to push it down, you know, in as smooth a motion as I can make it, get to a consistent little crunch there at the bottom, just to make sure I'm seated on the powder well. And then it's going to be take the muzzle off, leave it on the deck, and up onto the bench to fire. Now, for me shooting this light bench gun, I've learned that it does not like pressure. What I mean by that is it does not like a lot of cheek pressure, it does not like a lot of shoulder pressure. So I lay my cheek in there pretty gently to look at the sights, and I do not push up against the stop in the front. The stop is literally just there to keep the gun from the cant bar from going off the end. I do not utilize it to push against. Now in the heavy bench gun, I put a little shoulder pressure into it and keep tension on the gun. With this particular gun, it does not like that. I shoot better groups. Actually, if I pull back, you know, off the stop and leave it kind of float there and then shoot. So it has a very straight stock. Let me see if I can get on it. This gun's a little bit longer than my other gun in terms of where my shoulder ends up. So again, gloved hand goes underneath to support. I like to lay it right on I usually use my finger or my knuckle, something that doesn't have much meat there, so that you know, your heartbeat, doesn't affect the shot. Now the sun's going to be right in my eyes. So I get down. I like to pull back into my shoulder. I utilize the protrusions or the hooks on the trigger guard. I pull back into my shoulder to keep it on my shoulder, and then set the trigger and fire when ready. So for me, it's light cheek pressure, light shoulder pressure. That seems to do the best with it. Again, this is set up with peeps, so they're round aperture sights, line up with the round bowl, center, 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 line everything up center. I shoot number 11 Magnum percussion caps. The only reason I use the Magnums is, let's face it, we're in a cap shortage, so you use what you have. I just happened to buy a lot of Magnums because that was what was available. I don't like them. I don't use them in my heavy gun, so I basically try and use the Magnums up everywhere else, and reserve the standard just CCI caps for the heavy bench gun. I haven't really noticed a difference. I haven't had to change powder charge or do anything like that, but that seems to work out really well. So after you take the shot, it's just going to be like a standard side hammer. You're going to remove the cap. This does not have a sealed ignition or anything to worry about. Back up to loading and cleaning position. Get it up there, get the false muzzle back on it. So that's basically it for light bench shooting. Now, I hope that, you know, you could, if you're just wanting to get into the game, light bench is definitely the way to go. You could take an offhand gun and shoot it in the light bench class. All you have to do is get it weighed in. If it's under 14 pounds, you're good to go. You can shoot with open sights. You don't have to have peep sights. If you have them, great. It can give you, you know, an advantage sometimes depending on your vision. There are classes where I have to shoot open sights on that, so I change it out. I really do hope that making these videos finds you wherever you are, and that you take an interest and a liking to bench shooting and want to give it a shot. There's a lot more clubs out there that are accommodating and can allow for light bench shooting. Heavy bench is another story. Not everyone is set up quite for that, you know, or wants to do that. It's hard to get a shoot going for 2 or 3 guys. But if you can get, you know, a good crew together for light bench shooting, I think that then you can build into a heavy bench class club, you know, at your local club, and do those sorts of things. So anyhow, I'll quit rambling, and like I say, I hope to see you at the range.